Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Starting a New Relationship, Be Cautious. Starting a new relationship, be cautious. The past is catching up to some individuals. Whether it is the former partner, ex-partner, whatever you want to call that person, there are those individuals in the spiritual realm who have a dark past. Okay? They are getting mixed up with individuals who unfortunately are not being forward, transparent, or maybe they are being transparent. And now some individuals are questioning, what did I get myself into exactly? That man was married multiple times for good reason. I wish people would stop sleeping on that. I've had my share of conversations with individuals. Well, the wife or the ex or blame the woman. And then in some cases, I've talked to men who they said that, hey, they had the crazy ex, right? And I even went so far as to write a book about that to warn some men about getting involved or staying involved with women who beat on you, spit, lie, kick, and threaten you and do all these other things. And that book is one that's required reading by my sons. Look, this new relationship, those that got a lot of questions and they're pushing back, they're doing this because they feel something. Not everybody, of course, is spiritual, is righteous, is godly, but there is something that they feel. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know what it is about her. I don't like the fact that my cousin, my aunt, my sister, my brother, whoever is involved with, or that person has been involved in the family for quite some time, and I never liked them. Okay? In the spiritual realm, we see the wars. She doesn't have to tell her brother that that man freaked out on her one day. Because in the spiritual realm, if he is connected to the one true God, all he has to do is just pray and ask the Lord to reveal to him what exactly is going on, the reason why my sister is withdrawn, the reason why she seems to be acting a bit strange. I don't like this or I don't like that. And then he can proceed to talk to her about whatever the situation is, just giving you an example. For some of you all, you may see that your daughter or your son who's involved with someone, they are just head over heels in love, right? Because I've been there, done it, seen a movie. And you're talking of all of these conversations about how this man is everything, or this woman is, oh my God, mom. I mean, she's just fabulous. She's wonderful. I mean, I've never quite experienced anything like this. And that's the red flag right there. You've never experienced anything quite like this. That's all the more reason why you have to be cautious. If I've never fallen in love before, this is my first time, I'm going to ask 21 questions plus some. I'm going to be doing some background checks, research and everything to quiet all of these little butterflies, because I might act on these butterflies and end up making rash decisions and somebody becomes pregnant and oh my goodness, right? And that's for some individuals that I'm feeling in the spiritual realm. You're head over heels in love. And that should mean nothing more than I should be head over heels in research. I don't know if this woman is walking around and she got her share of incurable diseases. Come on. I don't know if this man who's walking around, if he's got his share. All I know is I really have some kind of feelings for him, and they are just driving me wild, and I can't seem to eat or sleep, and I keep talking about this person, and this person's on my mind, and I'm just feeling good, and I done told everybody I think I'm going to marry this person. Oh, I'm telling somebody's business. I'm seated right next to you right now. I'm seated right next to you. Because when we delve deep into these relationships, what we don't see is what God is warning us about. God's voice gets smaller and smaller, doesn't it? oh Lord, ever since he came into my life, all of these good things, and thank you for sending him. And the Lord's like, oh, slow down, slow down, slow down. You see, in some cases, yes, he did actually send someone to you. But did he send that person to you because he just simply got tired of you praying, and he's telling you it's not a good time, but you keep praying for someone special? So the Lord says, okay, I'm gonna give you what you want, but you're gonna learn today. Well, why would God do that? Because God's like that parent. You keep asking for that car. You keep asking for going to college. You keep asking for, that next game or the latest tennis shoe or whatever else. Remember some of you all, when you kept asking, and after a while, okay, somebody went on and got it for you. And then what happened? You started to feel like this thing is nothing more than a problem. It's costing too much. I don't even know why I even went down this path. All the debt that I'm in. I wish she would have never signed those papers. This is nothing but and some folks, they go so far as to cuss and freak out about that very thing that you prayed about it. You wanted it. God opened up the door, and now, I will tell you that some of these individuals that I see in the spiritual realm, they're walking around with their eyes wide open. Oh, their eyes are wide open, but it's like they're zombies. They're just headed in one direction. People all around talking to them. People all around. It's like they're in a trance. In some cases, it's witchcraft. It's spells that were placed upon individuals. So they have a one-track mind. And it's not love. It's entrapment. She has her eyeballs on that mansion. She has her eyeballs on those cars. She has her eyeballs on what she looks like walking next to that man. She's got her eyes on opportunities. She wants her visa or her green card. Oh, Lord Jesus. She has her whole life painted in the way that she wants it to happen, and that man is going to be the key to unlocking everything that she's always wanted. But she's going to cry many nights because he's not faithful. And this is all too common. That man doesn't have a long past for no good reason. God reveals a man's past. I'm going to stay there with the man because that Bible speaks so much about men. Okay, I know modern day times, we want to give, equality to both men and women and messages and so forth. And I've done that for many years. But today I want to focus in a little bit on the man. Because the man has been deemed as head of household. And the man came before the woman came. And the man typically is in leadership roles, in management roles. A man typically makes more money than most women. A man is given in his lifetime more opportunities than a woman. A man, before he even opens his mouth, is looked at as being educated and financially well off, depending on what his ethnicity is and if he fits the mold, whatever the mold is, whatever the flavor of the week is. Okay? And there's many studies out there where people tend to esteem and trust and go along with what a man says before a woman. Now, why do I say that? Because if you're going into a relationship with someone and you have any of your preconceived notions as to who that man is, you're going in with your personal bias. You're going in like that zombie type of example that I gave, trance-like. You're going in with that other example, that I gave with the woman who all she sees is that mansion. She sees that car. And a man that knows these sorts of things about some of what we call back in the day gold diggers, he's going to play with her because he already knows why she's involved with him to begin with. She may not have ever revealed it. She thought that her game was so tight. She dressed in some expensive clothes. She had her hair all and her face all dolled up. She did everything she could to win over that man. And that man, he's like, you haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't been where I've been. You haven't experienced what I've experienced. And I know what your game plan is. And I got about 2, 3, 4, just 4 more just like you. I heard a man, he was bold, was talking to other men, said how many women he had. He said, I got one that does this for me. I got another one that does this. I got another one here and another one there. And it just made my flesh crawl. But I had to listen, you see, because these sorts of messages are real life messages. Real people out in those streets talking crazy, or over there at the barbershop, or they bump into their boy or their girl, and they get to running their mouth about all of what they're doing or what they plan on doing or who they played and all this other foolishness. And this man wasn't 20 some years old. He wasn't 30 some years old. He wasn't 40 something years old. He was 50 some years old, still playing. New relationship. He's got a past. She's got a past. God is revealing what that past is when they say how many times they've been married. When they talk about their very fun lifestyle and all of the places they've went and all of the people they've seen. And many of those people have been lovers. They don't talk about, yes, well, in my journey, I had quite a few STIs or STDs. I also lost quite a bit of money having to go to the doctor's office for various treatments. Oh, and also, I want to let you know that there were a number of people who I told them I loved them, but I really didn't love them. And yeah, there's some babies out there, but I don't know who they are. And I don't know who the mamas are. Wow, if a man was so honest. And then, what would you do if a man was that honest? I don't care if you are in a hetero or same sex. What would you do if a man was that honest and told you about every wrong thing he ever did and who he got mixed up with? And he was just an open book about all of his dramas and traumas. You would go, next. Yeah, and I tend to have mommy issues and daddy issues too. I keep a job, or maybe I don't keep a job, or, if somebody makes me mad, I don't hesitate to quit a job. So that means that, at times I've been a kept man. Now, none of this sounds biblical because it isn't biblical. But we've heard so much of this in our lifetime. I wrote Socially Sweet, Privately Cruel, Abusive Men. We've heard so much of this in our lifetime that after a while, it feels normal. It feels like, everybody. No, everybody doesn't. Everybody doesn't. We still got a few good men that they're not going to be getting mixed up with all of that foolishness. They don't want to be a part of all of that. They recognize who they are in the scripture. And some men find it hard to believe that some of these men are not players, pimps, and hustlers like they are, and gamblers, or drunks, or drug addicts. No, every man does this. Every man does. No, not every man does. And some men have done it, but they moved past that. They grew up. They matured. They got themselves together. They became a man's man for real, not just talk. You see, they walk the walk, they talk the talk. New relationship. So we're looking for the signs, and we see that this man is not saying too much. He's being vague. We also see that the woman, let's say in her case, she's talking about everything. She's telling you about the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You didn't ask for all of that. It's a little bit too much detail. If you lay in a bed with her, you might start thinking about everybody that she told you about. Jesus, help us all. Okay? So, or even same-sex relationships as well. It's been about 20, 30, some, whatever, whoever, and this is what we did. And now she's expecting you to do the same thing. This new relationship, is it going to be something that weathers the storm? Is it going to be lifelong? Is it going to be the kind of relationship that God himself would say when you're on your last days, well done, thy good and faithful servant? We can put our hands up and say that our choices over the years, no, if we would have passed away at those particular times, we would not have heard God saying anything like that. Instead, we would probably be hearing screaming on the other side, some torturing, some torment, and some other things. Okay? Because sometimes you can pick a partner who's going to be ride or die for all the wrong reasons. That person can be a partner in crime. You and that person could end up having a long list of people who you've hurt because you all work together. I thought of some of these individuals who went through their share of issues, and I said, wait a minute, we've got a problem. And I said that some of these individuals, they have their hearts and their heads in the wrong place. And what do I mean by that? When you go into the relationship and you know it's a brand new relationship, and you don't go in like an investigative journalist or an attorney or a social worker, you're more likely to be played. I go into the relationship and I say, I heard what he said. He said that he had a lot of friends, female friends. Why is this sitting weird right now in my stomach? Because in my stomach, in my spirit, in whatever you want to call it, your conscience, God himself, the Holy Spirit, wait a minute. How many of these so-called friends are just friends? Simple friends, not friends with benefits, not former lovers who are now friends. I need to know that he's not hanging out with the temptress who may still have feelings. And he's not convincing me that these individuals are indeed platonic friends. He's got something to hide. Which means that I'm going to be feeling insecure in the relationship. This is somebody's real truth. This was even mine back in the day. So I'm not convinced, so therefore I should not proceed to the next level, to the next step in the relationship where it involves disrobing. Okay? Some have already done it, but hey, no worries. You don't have to go back and do it again. I remember sitting down years ago with a counselor from a church who said that you recognize where you went wrong and why this isn't a good relationship. We are advising that you no longer live with this person. Okay. Instead, what we're advising is that you return back to your parents' home. Oh, no, that's not an option for me. Why is it not an option? And then I proceeded to talk about some things. And they said, okay, well, then you need to zero in on looking for your own place. Sounds like you just need your own place. Not so much that you need to be in a relationship with anybody. You just need some time to yourself. And take all the time you need. You see. At the time I listened to what they had told me, but did I act on it? No. Instead, I remained in that relationship until we got so angry, so just mean-spirited toward one another that the police were called. Had I listened to the counselor at that particular time, there would have been no story about abuse. There would have not been any book published. It would have, that was one of those things that I really didn't need to do in my life, right? Was being involved in any type of abusive relationship. You see, they just, no, this is not a good thing. I don't want to be a part of this. But, well, there were some perks in the end. No, still, if I, it's the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and if I could have done it all over again type of thing. But I got past, the shoulda, coulda, woulda regrets. And I recognize that in new relationships going forward, I would just be more discerning and I would pay attention to the power and control will. And that's for somebody. What is the power and control will? Look it up. Okay. And I've even, I did an entire video years ago. May have been video, audio years ago about the power and control will, which you can search on my channel if you prefer to listen to me go over that with you. So the new relationship is difficult. It's troubling. You're paying attention to signs. You're asking questions. But the answers that's coming out of that person's mouth isn't good enough. Now what are you going to do? You're going to do some background research. You're going to do the type of research like you would if you were putting together a college essay. If you were doing research on an individual before they got approved for a loan. Credit history, background check, whatever it is that you need to do. But before I hire this person, hello, I need to know something about them. Well, why don't we do this when it comes to relationships? Taking somebody's word for everything. We live in dangerous times. One minister told me not that long ago. We live in dangerous times. You can never be too trusting or I should say you could never be too cautious, right? But you can be too trusting. I'm looking at that individual. I'm looking at him. Now what am I doing while I'm waiting for the background check to come back and the credit to be run? I'm watching body language. Some people got some nervous twitches and tics, and some of them, they become very angry easily. Let's put him in a setting or put her in a setting where they're being tested. Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. I want to see if that brain can handle stress, handle high, just a high intensity of activity. Can the heart handle it? Because that also will show how so-called healthy that person is. Oh, I'm healthy. Oh, I'm as strong as an ox. Okay. Let's take you to the gym. You see. I like what one particular, he's an entrepreneur. I liked what he said when he went out on a date with his now wife. He said that he talked to her about classes. And if she wanted to attend a class with him, okay? He was thinking in terms of, is she going to be a good business partner in the future? Is she someone who's smart? That's a good way to test somebody's intelligence. Find out what their interests are, and you match up your interests to theirs. And then you go, okay, let's go to a class. Oh, really? Okay, sure. And then if they're struggling and they can't seem to read the instructions and they're, being difficult in a class, well, how do you think they're going to treat you? You see, so the traditional dates of sitting across the room from one another under candlelight. Well, of course, that's designed for getting you ready for in the bedroom. I'm not ready for all of that. So let's not go off into, the typical, dinner and a movie stuff. I'm dinner and a movie burnt out, you see, because that's all back in the 90s when I would date. That's all anybody wanted to do. And then they wanted to try to groom you in terms of, okay, what do you want to do next? What do I want to do next? I want to end this date. I don't want to give you a hug. I don't want to give you a kiss or anything else. I don't even know you, man. I mean, really. So new relationships, they have their share of ups and downs, even after, okay, somebody has decided, yeah, I think I trust them enough. I'm going to go ahead on. I'm going to do whatever. Okay. But now you're starting to see these things that's going on with this person, and you don't like it. You don't like it one bit. Now what are you going to do? Well, what's the typical? You're going to talk about something positive and then inch your way into something that bothers you about that person, right? Now you're going to watch and see how they react to your feedback, to your criticism, to, oh, I can't believe you said that about me. This type of thing. If they can't take what you're saying in a healthy, functional way, and all they can do is just get real quiet, storm off, yell, have an attitude, or whatever else, then we have a problem. And are you going to be able to weather the storm with that person? Most likely not. I have had my share of issues, whether it was a new relationship or an old relationship. And every time when I had issues, I noticed that it was connected to the past. It was connected to a past person, a past place, or a past thing. Sometimes it was current issues. But oftentimes when we're talking about the rubber meets the road and, we're at levels of, I'm not going through this with you. Blah, 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 blah. And you go in and you say whatever. And it's okay to get to a point where you raise your voice. Because sometimes people don't understand when you're talking low and logical. Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you less Christian. It's just sometimes you've got to be the one that is firm and in someone's face about some things. If that means that this is it, this is the last that I'm going to have this conversation. I'm ready to pack my boxes, my bins, and that's it. But these past issues, the only reason why they kept showing up was because they were unresolved issues. Had those issues been resolved, now mind you, had the issues been resolved before we even met, there would have never been the arguments. Come on. For some of you all, if the issues would have been dealt with, all of this new stuff that's coming up that you don't particularly care about or care to talk about, or maybe starting to wear you down a little bit and you do care, had they been dealt with, they would have been irrelevant and you wouldn't be in this space right now of doubt and worry and stress. And is this relationship really something that I really want right now? And is it going to lead into a serious commitment in the future? And I mean, once you're grown, right? We're talking about you've been on this planet for quite a while. You've seen a whole lot. You've experienced a whole lot. Like some of us, you have zero tolerance for foolishness. I need you, listen, buddy, I need you to be a straight shooter. I need you to be plain speaking with me. I don't like mental games. I don't want to be played. I don't want to be hustled. I don't want to be any of those things. Let me tell you something. Here's how I deal with situations. And then, the woman who is strong-minded and straightforward is going to tell you how it is. Now, if he takes insult with that, and he's so caught up in how your voice is when you explain it and all that, he's immature and he's petty, because he should be able to talk the same way to you. And you should be able to receive what he's saying. Let's just all put it out there. Listen, I've had my share of issues with women using my credit card, women doing this and women doing that. And I'm not about to have another woman coming into my life thinking that she's going to be able to take from me and do this and do that. Look, here's how I stand. Here's how I feel. All right. Sounds good to me. However, we both need to establish trust then. We've got to earn some trust. We've got a steep hill to climb. But at least everybody is straightforward, Nobody's worried about, oh my gosh, if I make her angry. No, you do want to say some things to see how she, behaves when she's under pressure. But you don't want to drive a person mad or crazy or anything, but just enough to go, okay, she got a little fire. Okay, I could deal with it. You see. The past. The past has a way of catching up. You sat down, you talked to the person. The unresolved issues are still there. Are we working on a solution? Are we coming to some type of agreement on how we're going to deal with that past person, that past place, that past thing? Is someone using the recent intel about the past to make a conscientious decision on whether or not they want to proceed in a relationship with this person? Yes or no? And if you said, well, no, I haven't really thought about it. Well, today is your day. Get that piece of paper and that pen out. One side of the paper, you're listing everything that you like. And the other side of the paper, you're listing everything that you don't like. I did this exercise years ago. Here we go again with shoulda, coulda, woulda. And if I had, I would have saved myself a whole lot of tears, worries, and stresses. Because the man showed me who he was. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe that I was forcing him into a box in my mind of what I wanted him to be to me. And I did it again with another individual. And I'm like, what's up with me? And then, of course, you start getting into the daddy issues and, what you wanted from your own father. And, you took the good from your dad. And then you went around and you started looking for men who had the similar qualities to your father. But then you ended up finding that there were some things that reminded you of your dad that weren't so good, but they were familiar. And, the Bible warns us about familiar spirits. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean that it's right. So with all of these things being said, what is someone going to do? What is the plan when it comes to this new relationship? Slowing down. You got that right. What is the plan? Taking back some things. You know what? I did let that person use my credit card. Let me take my credit card back. Let me, cut it up, or let me block that card, or let me get a new one. I made my mistake. Oh, okay. I put that person on a document. Let me see if I can be able to get that person's name off that document. I moved a little bit too quickly. I talked to this man about marriage, or I talked to this woman about this sort of thing, but it looks like that's not what I want to do. So I'm gonna have to update them so that they're not thinking that we are still in that same place we were when we first met, because we're not. You see, giving you some brainstorming there, little ideas on how you want to tackle these things, right? You knew you did something, and now you said something. Now, What are you doing to change going forward? To not be so gullible, right? I shouldn't be this way about this. I should be smarter. Just like I approach my job, just like I approach if I was having a contractor come over to my house and fix something. I mean, I would be shopping around. I'd be asking for, certificates and licenses and whatever else. So then why am I being so irresponsible? Am I that desperate? Am I that lonely? You see. And then, of course, you got those individuals that's going to use God. I mean, one particular individual years ago told me that he had dreams that God gave him concerning me. I said, that's nice. Yeah, haven't you had dreams too? I said, absolutely not. What? Yeah, I didn't have any dreams about you. And if I did have dreams, then we'd probably be walking down the aisle. But I didn't have any dreams. You see. And I dated him long enough and still didn't have dreams. If anything, I got a cold feeling that came over me. And I asked him about a scar that was on his arm. And he told me that he had been in a physical altercation with his ex. Ding, 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 ding. Wow, the sensitivity to abuse. I don't want to be the future one that he's fighting with. I said, well, what could you all have been fighting about? It was over a VHS tape. A VHS tape. I'm dating myself, but hey. Just like a VHS tape is laughable nowadays, arguing over it back then, it was laughable then. Like, are you kidding me right now? I could see if you were like arguing over maybe something that was worth a whole lot of money, but just a simple VHS tape, or maybe even a family relic. But there were things that was associated with the push and pull and the fighting and all of that led up to it that he wasn't talking to me about. You see, just like the media will tell you about that one thing that happened that sells papers, sells the website subscription. Oh, they argued over a donut. Oh, they fought over scissors. Oh, she was angry about a tattoo. No, there were more things that led up to the explosive incident. So why do you guys do that? You see, nobody wants to interview all the details and interview the person for all the details. Because the details are probably not very important. Oh, well, the details, nobody really cares. They just want to hear about that argument that led to a shooting. Well, we don't want to be in that position. And so that's why we are very mindful of these new relationships. And so if that man said, or that woman said that, yeah, back in the day, I argued over, where he was going and who he was seeing and all of that, because I don't play. If you're going to be out here and you're going to be doing this, that, and the other, I need to know where you at, who you're going to be with, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, do you really want to be bothered with all of that? That should give you motivation to want to be by yourself just a little while longer. Or you got the man who's like, look, I don't like my women dressing this way. And I don't like my woman saying this. And I don't like my woman being all up in somebody's face. And I don't like my woman being a kind of woman who doesn't want to cook, clean, or do too much of anything else. Okay, because I already had one of them lazy ones. And I already had one of them that she was always up in some man's face. And then I had one, she was a gold digger. And so I'm not trying to deal with you. And you end up, well, first of all, I don't even know you like that, bruh. So anyway, I thank you, as always, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube Venom Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving. And thank you in advance.